So a couple of months ago, I was sleeping and I got this phone call from one of my best friends in South Africa, 4 o'clock in the morning. Answered the phone and I hear this voice in distress, like just can't even get any of his words out. And he says to me, "Wes, she's leaving me. She's just leaving me, just no reason. She just wants to go." And he said, "Hey, my wife's leaving me." As I hear that voice, I'm on the other line trying to barely wake up. And I don't have the words. There's almost nothing in me that I think I can share with him to say, "Hey, it's going to be okay." After these past few months, she left him. The very next day, she just walked out. No reason. Didn't give him any explanation. Didn't want to have a conversation. Nothing. So I called him one day and I said, "How are you going?" And he said, "How do you think I'm going? I'm in my room all alone, the space where she was all the time. She's not there anymore. Sitting there, broken. Someone I loved, someone I poured everything into, is just missing. And I just want her to come back. I just wish she'd come back." A couple of weeks ago, he received the divorce papers, and his heart is just shattered. I don't know what circumstances you're going through, but I know that in this world, there is pain, there is suffering, and we as a community here at Gracegate, we don't care about how we're going to make church, but we care about every single person, and we'll do whatever it takes to make people feel valued, make people feel that they have a place where they can belong, have a place where they can come to and they can be accepted no matter how they are, no matter where they are in life, no matter how much they sin, no matter how much brokenness they're in, that this is a safe place for you to be in. If you're joining us for the first time in church today, I want you to know that this is a space where we as a community just want to give it all. Honestly, we do. We don't just say that, we actually do. We want to come alongside you and we want to love you like only Jesus can love. So welcome to a safe place. You're surrounded by no perfect people. I can guarantee you that. But we have a heart and we want you to know that you are in a safe place where we value people just like Jesus did. So today, as we embark on this new series entitled what? Wow. Entitled what? Thank you. All right. Give it away, a life of irrational generosity. I'm trying to think of, I was like, how can I share about this concept of irrational generosity? How can I share about actually living outside of the box? All right. And yeah, at Gracegate, honestly, this place is full of creatives, as you've seen this morning, right? Can we give a hand to all the people who were involved this morning? I'm amazed at the creativity and like the ideas and the work that all comes together in order to communicate what God's all about. And I can tell you, though, that sometimes there are crazy ideas, all right? And I want to share a few of those with you this morning. And one of the things we actually have in our programming team is we have this umbrella of grace, all right? So if you're about to give an idea, and honestly, it is crazy. It's like you need to put this umbrella of grace up, okay? So before you're going to share and communicate this crazy out-of-the-box idea, you got this umbrella of grace, and then you come up with this idea and you share it amongst our team. And some of those ideas looks something like this. I'll share with you. I won't tell you who came up with these ideas, okay? But just last week, we ran through a whole series about go fish, right? And one of the people on our team said, oh, and they didn't even have the umbrella of grace, okay, which I don't know. But they said, wouldn't it be cool if we filled up our tank over here, our baptismal font, and we actually put fish in it, okay, like a live fish tank in our church, all right? That was one of the ideas. So I said, and all of us here at Grace, we're like, wow, that would be amazing, okay? We didn't do that for, the reasons why. But one of the ideas that keeps coming up is, hey, what about a mermaid? What about a mermaid? If we could just dress someone up as a mermaid. And often these ideas, honestly, there's some really crazy ones. They don't pan out. They don't work. And sometimes we've failed miserably. And this morning with what was that? Yeah, the T-Rex. Okay, that could have gone horribly wrong, all right? Luckily, praise God, it didn't. But when I think of, give it away, out-of-the-box thinking, it doesn't always work out well. And today I want to share a story about someone who actually, honestly, it's worked out well. It's worked out so well, and that's the reason we're actually all gathered here today. And it's a verse and it's a story that I want to share with you. John communicates this story, and we know it's about Jesus. And he speaks about it as he writes in his book. He says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And he's speaking about, hey, that actually there's God and there's Jesus, and Jesus is actually, he is the beginning. He is the Word. And then Eugene Peterson, he puts it like this in this verse. He says, the Word actually became flesh and blood, all right, and moved into the what? The neighborhood, all right? Now, if you don't think this is outrageous or if this is out of the box, this is God, all right? If you believe in God or if you don't believe in God, just think about this. If you are God, why would you become flesh and blood? Why would you come and move into the neighborhood? Other translations say that he actually came and he dwelt among us. He was in proximity with human beings. If you think about out of the box, why, if you are God, would you give it all away? Would you give it up to come and live amongst us as humans? Jesus, being referred to as the Word, he does this. He comes and he becomes flesh and blood, and he moves into the neighborhood. And then he goes on, and he says, we saw the glory with our own eyes. John was writing here. He was an eyewitness account of what Jesus was actually doing on this earth. And he says, hey, we saw this with our very own eyes, that God became human, and he moved into our neighborhood. The one-of-a-kind glory, like Father, like Son. Jesus coming and dwelling among us. And then he finishes off this verse and he says, he was generous inside and out, true from start to finish. I love this. If you're thinking about out of the box, this is Jesus. Jesus, who was God, becomes a human being. And he dwells among us. Well, what does that neighborhood look like? What is it that Jesus would, come and dwell among us? Where would he set up house? Where would he set up camp? What would he do? If we read through many of the books in the Bible, we see that Jesus actually, one of the things he did was so extraordinarily out of the box that he would actually move towards people who were broken. He would move towards them. He would invite them in. He would say, hey, you are welcome around this table. Hey, if you've got more sin, you are even more welcome around this table. He moves, and one account, he moves to a guy called Zacchaeus, and he says to Zacchaeus, who was a tax collector at the time, he says, hey, Zacchaeus, You are like the worst of the worst, thinking to himself, okay? And he says to Zacchaeus then, hey, I want to come to your house. I want to come and hang out with you. I want to be in proximity with you. I want to dwell among you. The story goes as Zacchaeus spends time with Jesus, something shifts in his life, and he sees something different in life. Jesus, at one stage, he intentionally decides to go the long way around to a town so that he can meet a woman at the well. Someone who is broken, someone who has been through so many relationships that she can hardly count all of them. And he moves towards her and he says, hey, you are valued. You're accepted. You're loved. Not because of anything you have done or you could do, but because of who I am. Jesus' whole life, his whole ministry, is about that irrational generosity, the lifestyle that he lived. And today, as we speak about, hey, give it away, I want us to look at, hey, that this is all about a man who shifted this whole world. He turned it completely upside down. In a time and in a culture where, hey, it was outrageous to be generous. In the time that Jesus lived on this earth, it was, hey, you wouldn't even touch someone who was sick because they were deemed a sinner. They were deemed, hey, this person has actually sinned and God has cursed them. Jesus moved towards them. He moved towards them. He accepted them. He loved them. He healed them. He cared for them. He fed them. He just gave it away, gave it away, gave it away. Throughout this series, we actually want to leave this space here, not knowing more information, but actually moving out and doing something about giving it away. And this is what I want us to basically remember. If we go to the next slide. Thanks, Damien. We give it away, all right, to open a way. We give it away to open a way. The reason Jesus actually became human, the reason Jesus actually gave it away is because whenever he gave something away, be it love, be it grace, be it kindness, he was opening a way. He was opening potential. He was opening a space where someone else could actually find true meaning in life. And the reason we give it away is because we want to open a way for someone else. So in other words, we give our time, we give our patience, we give our grace, we give our forgiveness, we give our love, we give everything that we possibly can to open a way. This morning, what I want to ask us is, hey, are you part of the we? Are you part of the we? Are you part of the we that gives it away to open a way? Today, I'm stoked, seriously stoked to have someone who is leading by example in this, and not just speaking about it, but actually doing something about this. And we're going to watch a short video. And, we'll take it from there. Thanks, Dave. Today, it's my honor and my privilege, and can we give a big hand to Owen, someone who's seriously making a difference. Thanks, Owen.
Wow, glory to Jesus.
Owen, thanks for joining us at Gracegate. It's honestly a privilege. Just last week, if you were here, Jordan actually just shared a bit about this guy. Can you guys remember? And Owen, I know a bit of what you've been up to, and I know the work that you're currently doing, but I know a couple of years back, you weren't doing that. And maybe you could just briefly share with us a bit about your story.
Sure. I just want to say that God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. And grace is another word for favor, the favor of God. But I was living in Napier, currently up for 6 years, my 7th year now, and I was travelling to and from Napier, out Auckland to wherever the Lord was sending me, and I would visit the streets of Auckland because that was part of my history, as I was homeless in the streets of Sydney. And by that stage, I already knew the grace of God and the goodness of who He was. So I wanted to participate not only with God, but with the broken-hearted people in the communities that I'd seen, not only in New Zealand but around the world. At that stage, I'd visited 50 nations unto the Lord. And I just knew that New Zealand, we have the same problems here. We have broken-hearted people. We have people with drug addiction. We have people who are lost. We have people that have, addictions. And so my heartfelt cry was to say, Lord, we got the same problems here. So if you want to move me to Auckland, here I am. Use me. Be very careful what you say to the Lord. All right, I'm saying, use me. So He woke me up one night. It was early in the morning, and the Lord said, "You said." What did I say? You said you'd go wherever I told you to go. And you said that you would go. It was a leading in my heart to Auckland. And I made up every excuse because I love my mum's house. I love the walks. I love the gym. I love her food because you get set in a routine. And then I just felt the Lord went silent. And so I knew that the Lord was calling me. So I just believed. I told my mum, I'm going to Auckland. She goes, where are you going to live? I don't know. Just, what are you going to do? Feed the poor, clothe the homeless, find those who are brokenhearted in our streets of New Zealand. And so I moved with no home, and I, to make sure that it was God's dream and His vision, not my own leading in my heart, I stood in the streets of Queen Street and I just said, Lord, open my eyes to what you see. And is this your dream for me and vision for me, or is it my own? And He said, let's walk. So I walked, and as I started to look through, what I believe His eyes were seeing was just people, and I seen people so oppressed. I saw people who were brokenhearted, and it broke my heart, and I stood there, and I remembered a story in the Bible, many. One was Moses, and he stood there, and he said, unless your presence is with me, don't send me up from here. And that's what I did. I said, Lord, I know you brought me here, and I said, I need your grace, I need your mercy to show me the blueprint on how to move this brokenness and what you want to do here. And I need a community of like-minded people who I can work with, who I can call family.
Awesome. And Owen, so maybe you could share, because I don't think people really know what you get up to every day. Like, how does a normal day look for you?
First and foremost for me, if you woke up this morning, you have the very breath of life, you're blessed, whether you believe in God or not, because He empowers us every morning. And this is the Father's hope. This is my morning. If I have breath of life, my time and my affection will go straight to the Father. Jesus wasn't lying when He said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. And just like any father knows He has children, he loves to know what we're doing. So I minister unto the Lord. My affection, my time goes to the Father. Malachi 3:16 says this. It says, and a book of remembrance was opened in the presence of the Lord. And for those who think and meditate upon His name, He writes their name in His book. So He's got this book in His presence, and He's listening right now, and He's saying, like, what are they speaking about? Well, they're speaking about you, because He's a good, good Father, just as we heard. And so out of that place of presence, right, He empowers me. I can see, just like I'm talking to you right now, I see the cry of the poor and the needy, and I know when I see people in the streets, I see myself. All right, and I'm saying, Lord, I can't do this. Show me the blueprint or your fingerprint, handprint on each of these people who you know by name. So then because we have a community commitment on the Wednesday night with the blankets that come from here as well, and Kindercare, and we're just so blessed that people are kind and generous. So I have a community of people who demonstrate love. That's the gospel message, right? Yeah. That's the building block of the kingdom, is love. Love settles everything, and that's what Jesus is. He's love. He's the perfect Son, come to demonstrate what sonship looks like. And so we're modeling what Jesus has entrusted to us, what a family starts to look like. So all these people in the down, broken places that we meet on the Wednesday night, we have an opportunity to just become their friend. My motive is not to speak to them so they would become like me, although I have strong Christian principles,
Yeah.
and so do the many that come out with me. But just in that demonstration of love, it's the anointing of God upon your life that will break into their heart, so they start asking you questions. You're a Christian, eh, Owen? Yeah, you better believe it. How come you don't try and shove that stuff down our throat? Well, I'll just be telling you really good stories, but I had an encounter with the Lord. I had an encounter with His presence in my deepest, darkest hour, like most of the people were experiencing. And I cried out unto the Lord and said, I don't know if you're real. Help me. I'm drug addicted. I'm broken. If you help me, I'll do this. All right? Many people have these encounters like I'm saying. They are depressed. They're homeless. They're broken. And their only point of contact could be you. So on the Wednesday night, we just make friends with people. And it's just not enough to sing someone a worship song, give them a blanket, give them a cup of tea and a sandwich. Many of these people have dreams. They have visions. They've had goals. And something went wrong in their life. And we're asking, Lord, show us how we can walk them out, not just lead them. Because Jesus can break into a conversation, just like on the road to Emmaus. And they said, didn't our hearts burn? But it says Jesus was willing to go further. So in the contending for us, we have invitations from people who are really skilled in what they do. Their wraparound service, just their kindness and generosity, which gives us an opportunity to walk people completely out from the place of where we find them. That's the Samaria. That's the place where nobody wants to go to, is the hard places, but that's where Jesus is going to send you and I back to. The greatest places of your darkest things that you've experienced in your life, once you've learned how to overcome them, because He teaches you through the Word of God, then you can stand, you can go back into these places you've come back out of and lead people out of the darkness, and then the people become the source of the answer because they're going to be good at what they do, because that's what they've been brought out of.
Oh, and as I'm listening to you, and for everyone listening here as well, sometimes as churches, I mean, we can come and gather here on a Saturday or a Sunday, and we can speak all these things about Jesus and, leave here and be like, wow, that was so inspiring, awesome, we'll come back next Saturday or Sunday. But honestly, one of the things that I value about you is that you are getting in proximity with people, you're spending time, you're getting amongst people, and you're actually raising their dignity in a way that is so inspiring and encouraging. For me, I feel so guilty. I don't know about you guys. Honestly, no, yeah. But honestly, you're doing something, and you're not just speaking it. You're not just saying, hey, this would be cool, but you're actually being used by God. And one of the stories that I watched on Facebook that you were involved in was one of those ladies. Yeah, could you share a bit about that story?
Sure. Listen, I'm representing today the many that come out into the streets with me who are just incredible. So I have the ability to share our story. It's not a me, it's a community story. Awesome. And a participation from all. I'm available from the Monday to a Sunday because this is what I do. So I need Wednesday night to happen for me to be able to do what I do best. I'm trying to duplicate, replicate, and magnify the voice, because there's many people like me who have the same heart who are saying, can we participate? Sure. So we went out Wednesday night and we came across a lady named Nanitara who's from Malaysia. She's 65 years old. She knows God. 20 years in the streets of Auckland, but 10 years, it's her, 10 years living at that bus stop there. Her toilet is actually there, and she needed a new heart. She had a stent put in her heart, and she had other things wrong with her bowels and all that sort of stuff. She wears that hat. The hat actually is like this, so you can't see her. So when you talk to her, she was like that. She uncontrollable. You can't hear her. Anything that she speaks is just babble, because she's so broken. She said, she can speak now, God, if you want to take me, then just take me. I'm ready to go. So like God's a good father. He sends his family out, and then we see the injustice. Well, that's just not acceptable to see a 65-year-old lady who could be your grandmother, mother, sister, with no home. And so, our cry, Lord, show us, how do we do this? So we felt led to get her a temporal accommodation, just to get her off that park bench. We took her out to Hobsonville to a friend's place. Now, and we put her into the hospital. In the hospital, and love has already started. This is a love story. This is about being found. She's an incredible lady. This is what she looks like now.
Wow.
All right. Glory to Jesus. And I don't know if you've got have you got the picture of her singing. Have you got her singing? Next one. There should be a video there, I think. No, it's not up. Anyway, she sings a song. What is it? Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning. New mercies I see. Anyway, you know, she's not just some lady that's been sitting on a park bench. Her identity has been restored. She knows that she's loved. That's that building block again. And she's become our community grandma. This is just one of many. There's too many stories to tell you about God's love just for people, regardless if they're Christian or not. When you get to see how he sees people, right, made in his image, blood from his blood, bone from his bone, then something changes within yourself when you say, God, use me. I wake up in the morning, use me. I'm here today because Abba wanted me to be here. A habitation of his presence is sitting and resting in this place because of what you do, not because of stuff I do, but you've all participated in a way because you pray. God does nothing without prayer, and his prayer is to find the lost and the brokenhearted. So, you know, you're most welcome to come out on Wednesday night, but we're looking for an increase of being able to work together more effectively. We need the community to come with more suggestions, God's suggestions, so that we can magnify his voice out in these places. We've just come to celebrate life in here, and then, you know, if you choose, then you can do something in your life that's going to, maybe it's your testimony. Maybe it's your participation. You don't have to be loud like I do. Social media has just been I'm just allowing you to see my love story and what that looks like in my daily life. I'm just sharing my love story, how I came from darkness to light.
Owen, thank you so much for your heart and what you're doing. And if you want to find out more about Owen and his work, just, go on Facebook. Sure. That's probably the best space. And every Wednesday night, Catherine's joined a few times. And, loves going out and just befriending people on the streets. Just thank you so much. I know you're off after this. You're flying out to...
Raro this afternoon to train some YWAMers, Youth with a Mission, who are going to be doing a lot of this stuff here. So it's just an honor and a privilege that God can send you anywhere around the world. I have 9 pages of criminal convictions. You know, I've been a drug addict, prison, guns, drugs. God can use anyone who's oppressed, rejected, downtrodden, uneducated. He can use you.
Yeah, so good. Thanks, Owen. I'm going to, before you leave, is Jordan here? Is Jordan here? No, he's not here. Oh, there he is, Jordan. I'm going to ask you, can you come and pray for Owen? You've inspired us, and I know a lot of Jordan's passion was from your story, and we're just going to pray for Owen today.
God, we are so grateful that we have you as our Father, that we have you to love us and just pour out that unbelievable love. God, I just want to bring to you Owen today and the fantastic stuff that he is doing. We know, we've heard just a little bit of his story and the struggle and his journey of life. And we're just so grateful that we have been able to hear this. But God, I'm just so grateful that you have been able to use Owen, despite everything that has been going on, despite the struggles, despite his downfalls and everything, that you have been able to use him in amazing and unbelievable ways, being able to give away your love like nobody has before. And it's so exciting and it's so encouraging to see that. And I just want to pray continuous blessing over this guy. He's an amazing guy and such a passionate person about you and the love that you share. And we are so grateful for him. And I just pray, Lord, that as he goes now and he trains these guys and comes back and does amazing work for you, that you continue to be with him and bless him and continue to guide him and speak to him, Lord, in where you want him to go. Thank you. thank you so much for this man. In Jesus' name.
I receive that word. Thank you.
Amen. Thanks, Owen. So if you're sitting now in church and you're wondering, like, yeah, I want to get involved. I want to be part of that. Or maybe you're like, no, I'm too scared. I'm too afraid. We've tried to create some way that we can actually partner with Owen. And Owen doesn't know this, but these boxes all around here aren't just for decorations, this series. But actually what we want to do is we want to actually get really practical about our faith in a very, very simple way. And basically what we want to do is we want to take these boxes home. We want to fill them up with food and whatever anything else we can possibly fill it up with. And during the Christmas season, we know that there's families in our community that don't have what we have, and we want to just be generous and give it to them. There's people on the streets who don't have what we have, and we want them to experience some of the blessings we do. So this is our time where we can be a part of just making a difference, and I think that's what church is all about. And what we want to encourage everyone to do, and I would honestly, this would be the coolest dream ever come true, is if each and every one of us could actually just take one box and, just bring it back, and you fill it up with food and fill it up with whatever you think is great, or the things that you enjoy. Bring it back wrapped, okay? Wrap it up and maybe say, hey, this is for a family, or this is for someone who's living on the street. And bring it back wrapped. We're going to fill this stage each and every week with all these boxes filled up. And then as we come to the end of the series, we're actually going to go out. We're going to have some time where we can actually go and distribute this. And it will be awesome if we could join you, Owen, and actually, go and celebrate and just, give a little bit. Does that sound exciting? Would that be cool? Yeah.